Now, I did say on the reaction that scat can mean two things.
But it means the same, I'm assuming, to you. Hey, everybody out there. Welcome back to another Friday episode here at the Audiophiles. I'm Andy. That's John over there. And as I alluded to, it's a Friday episode, so that could mean only one thing. Today's song was sponsored by one of you lovely people out there in the listening audience who care to take a few moments to offer it up in one of the comments field of a previous episode. And in this case, John is going to be going off and listening to this song. This song was posited by, and I'm going to go ahead and take some liberties with some missing vowels in this name, but Troublemaker 7572. Yeah. The
They kept,
strongest makers of
yeah,
trouble.
they kept the A though, didn't they? They didn't go whole
They did.
hog.
They kept the one, the A in maker, all other vowels be damned. So yeah, but Troublemaker 7572 added this on our All Along the Watchtower episode, Dave Matthews live in Central Park. Um, and they would this unknown male or female troublemaker, that's all we know is that they make trouble, would like you to go off and listen to Jimmy Thing by Dave Matthews at this very same concert. And I can already assure you that this is going to get blocked in one way, shape, or form. So I'm sure whenever you see the reaction, you out there in the listening audience, there's going to be some sort of, superimposed kind of effect to, kind of circumvent the copyright overlords here at YouTube. So please bear with us. But John will be watching the full live version from that same Central Park concert. So, John, we've done a handful of Dave Matthews songs like Warehouse, All on the Watchtower, Don't Drink the Water, and then
Grave
Grave
digger.
Digger. Yes, that was, which is just Dave at that point. I think that was his one lone album. So, you're well versed in their sound and what they bring to the table. Please go off, give this thing a go, and let us know what you think on the other side.
Will do.
Lately I've been feeling low. Around my knees, what I'm seeking. I take a taste of what's mellow. Come away to something better. What I want is what I've not got. And what I need is all around me. I reach and search and never stop. And I'll say, if you could keep me floating, just
Okay, so we had a very gentle start with acoustic guitar, and the band seemed to creep in one by one, sort of hesitantly circling the water hole. But yeah, it's nice to hear that sort of, particularly the organ, just like the notes sliding in. Very nice. But it seems to now got going, so we'll see where it goes.
far and wide till I get to the end of this tunnel. Oh, Jimmy, if you could keep me floating just far and wide, let me get back to you. Well, sometimes I'm Jimmy, things slide my way and keep me swinging. I'd like to serve you what's inside, Lord, but I sort of don't care. Oh, if you do or you don't like it, brother, chaos rule all and about. Yes, sometimes I take a walk there, good God, sometimes I take a taxi.
This is a really interesting part. It's quite odd. There's this mixture of this sort of like he's got a bit of attitude in his voice. There's almost funk from the bass there. It's definitely sort of groovy couple of lines, and then it sort of crescents into this almost like a country feel with the fiddle, sort of long notes on it, and then back into the sort of more earthy sound. And it's an odd mixture, and I don't know if it works for me. It clearly works for them, but yeah, it's strange.
Staring on the sea out. I'd take a drink, sit back and relax, smoke my mind, make me feel better for a small town world. I want this, would have not got what I need is all around me.
Love that organ.
I reach and search and never stop, and I say, if you could keep me floating just for a while, when I get to the end of this storm, brother, if you could keep me floating just for a while, when I get back to you, well, with some time. I take a wild there, good gas, sometime I take a taxi. So don't care, I said don't care. I read there's a beating.
Don't know what's come over him here. So we had that very nice fiddle solo, I should say something about that, obviously. Yeah, it's a little bit, the song doesn't really flow. It's a bit bitty, but I mean, I guess with the sort of jam band type thing, you get that. I think that's fine. Yeah, it's vocals there. We just come. Do you know what it sounded to me like? It sounded like the very start of Janis Joplin's version of Summertime. Just gonna have to rewind that just a touch. There we go. A very nice one single guitar note. Yeah. Those drums are really nice
Till
just
I
then.
get to the end of this tunnel, oh Jimmy, if you could keep me floating just for a while, get back to you. Well, with some time Jimmy, things slide my way and keep me swinging. I'd like to show you what's inside. Lord, I so don't care if you do what you don't like it. Brother, chaos rule on about. Yes, sometimes I take a walk there. Oh, good God, sometimes I take a taxi. Shut down here, I shut down here. My reef as I'm beating.
You seem to have entered a completely different song now. It sounds great, but I'm really getting smatterings of sort of 80s daytime TV schedules. The name Al Jarreau's popping into my head for some reason. I know it's not really nice thing, but yeah, it sounds great. Okay, we're doing baton passing obviously now. Yeah, really enjoyed that section. A completely different song, and yeah, I liked it a lot more than the main body of the song, to be honest with you. It just started to swirl and build within it, and the whole thing had a lovely. There's some keyboards going in my left ear that sounded great and were really complimenting the sax. He didn't go all like really mad honking like sometimes you do with sax solos, but yeah, really impressive. Thoroughly enjoyed that so much. That was very nice. What I particularly enjoyed in that was the sort of at times of synergy with the drummer. From my previous listens to Dave Matthews Band, I think I really like the drummer. He's done a few real mega fills just before this solo and before the Sat solo as well. But there's some really nice touches there. But on the whole, it's been fairly chilled. And it was just nice to see him smashing the old metal work there and really going for it. Yeah, really nice guitar solo. Yeah, excellent.
That's my good friend Carter Beaufort on the drum. That's my good friend Stefan Assad on the bass guitar. That's my good friend Leroy Moore on the saxophone. That's my good friend Boyd Tinsley on the violin. That's my good friend Bush Taylor on the keyboard. And y'all, it's a freaking me out to New York City Central Park, the Dave Matthews Band. Got me thinking that's so old, diggy, dagger, sing it in the boo, bound it down, I said, you know, I was telling myself, I don't know, like a mister, like I mean, what to say, like him on that, down, dig out, on that, like him, what I was trying to tell you before, New York City, get us up to this, New York City is the greatest damn city in the whole, yeah.
I like this feel.
Something happening here. What it is ain't exactly clear. But there's a man with a gun over there. He's telling me I got to beware. He says, stop, baby, what's that sound? Everybody looks what's going on. Baby, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. Stop, baby, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. Like to take a chance to thank everybody that's helped us do this to stop. Baby, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. Tonight here with y'all, I'd like to thank them. I like to thank them. Stop, baby, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. I mean the emergency teams, I mean the New York City Fire Department. Stop, baby, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. The police, thank you so much to the police department for making us safe. Stop, baby, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. But most of all, I'd like to thank y'all. But most of all, I'd like to thank y'all. Stop. What's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. It's the one hand.
Keen to remember, and please forgive me if I got this wrong, but I believe this concert was put on pretty damn soon after 9/11. Could be wrong. You got this general atmosphere of healing from the gig, and you can see it there as well. It's just really nice to see. Yeah, lots to digest in this. I think overall, it's definitely not my favourite song of theirs. Performance was great as always. All members of the band are, superb musicians. I really like the drummer though. He's just got a lovely touch and feel about him. I do not know how I feel about his sort of the scat section. Scat can mean two things, and I'm probably tending towards the second one rather than the first. It's just bizarre. I can't remember the last time I heard someone doing that sort of scat stuff. I think it might have been like on the Far Side debut album. Bizarre. Oh well, let it go. I really like that last section. That was very brief, but when they sort of slowed it down and went to this sort of Panther stealth mode, the band was very, really nice atmosphere to that. And then he did a bit of Buffalo Springfields. Fair enough. But most of all, his target audience is the audience in front of him. Absolutely lapped it up, which is what you want to see. So fantastic performance. Okay, let's go back and chop this one up with Andy.
All right, it's a Johnny Thing. You are back from listening to Jimmy Thing by Dave Matthews over there at just a hop, skip, and a jump away at New York's Central Park. What did you make of this track offered up by Troublemaker 7572, John?
So the interesting thing, and viewers will be able to see this in the titles, whatever, that the spelling of Jimmy suggests a dalliance with Mr. Hendrix, and perhaps that character from the Addams Family. From my limited experience of previous outings for the Dave Matthews Band, I would think this is more about the ambience or attitude of the left-handed maestro rather than his particular technique or output. I remember they put their own sort of brand on the previous version of All Along the Watchtower, which many people associate primarily with Hendrix rather than the creator. Mm-hmm. But wisely, when they did that, they didn't stray very much anywhere near Hendrix territory, because that would be a difficult feat to accomplish. So we start this short little ditty with a gentle the gentle rhythm of the acoustic guitar as Dave announces that he's not been feeling quite the ticket. Musically, the band are all sort of tiptoeing around at this section, like early morning arrivals at a municipal swimming pool for the first swimming class of the day. Tones from the organ sort of seep in, and then you get the little forays from the bass and the drums, which start to build into something with firmer footing. And by the minute mark or so, the song's in full swing. Mr. Matthews mentioned something about floating until the end of a tunnel called Jimi. Interesting stuff. This sort of section has this. It goes into I guess it's like the chorus. I'm not really sure. But it goes into this blend where you have like a couple of bars of this almost funky attitude, much more earthy, and his voice sort of indicates that as well. And then after a couple of bars, it sort of crescents into this. It is like a tip of a wave, and it's fiddle-led, almost country feel to the end of it. It has deliberately, I think, a kind of choppy, awkward flow to it. Such are the charms of the Dave Matthews Band. I'm not quite sure how that worked for me. But I don't know if it really sort of kind of flowed, it stopped and started. But anyway, this peaks then into a fiddle solo with some gusto. And then it returns to this laid back, reflective Dave. And I must say, a lot of the vocals are kind of, the lyrics, sorry, are floating over me. I get this, and he talks about let me float, etc. I get the impression, or was picture in my mind, of Huckleberry Finn on a raft of freedom floating down the Mississippi. Obviously, minus the racial epithets, of course, which wouldn't go down well. We don't put the fiddle player in the role of Jim, but or maybe a better image is Baloo on his back with Mowgli on his belly, floating away. That's probably a nicer one. So this is clearly some sort of stoner track.
You're keen, John.
We kind of flip back through this funky passage again, and it happens again and again. So I'm guessing it's the chorus. And now this second time around and subsequent times on, we hear more of the sax come in as well. So it has a much fuller sound and not so sort of fiddle centric. And we get glimpses of the audience who are clearly in for the count with both feet. So cue another longer, bigger fiddle jam with much nodding of heads, at the end of which it's punctuated with these drum beats, double taps and fist bumps from the crowd, and then we get this really lovely singular note that rings out from your man standing behind Dave, and he sort of slides his finger up to the sort of waft away, and then Dave sort of does something very unexpected. Well, I didn't expect this. He does his impression of Janis Joplin trapped in a Turkish bath. I swear that first little hunched up vocal rasp is almost identical to the opening of her version of Summertime. Is that just me? Yeah, really odd. I had to bring it back and listen to it again. Very strange. And then suddenly, somebody finds the antidote and injects him quickly, and he finds his normal voice. During this point, we're getting really nice little bits and pieces from the drummer. He's really put stuff in. I think I've said it before quite a few times. All the guys are very accomplished, obviously. But the drummer, I really, really like.
Oh, man. Carter Buford.
Beautiful feel. So we're back again on the floating motif. Step forward, Bleeding Gums Murphy, and we get the sax turn, replete with bouncy keyboards. This is a completely different song. And in my mind, straight away, it went to American television, 1980s daytime TV schedule, some plucky little comedy drama about someone who's had to return to work after 30 years of being a mum, or I don't know, or saves fucking ducks or something. I don't know, something like that. And for some reason, and I know it isn't song, but the two words Al Jarreau came to mind in my head. So he's doing his stuff, Bleeding Gums, and the jam starts to swirl, and we're in a totally different place now. And it's probably my favourite section of the whole song. I really love that sort of the latter half of the sax. The start is great, but it really goes into something else. The second half of the jam, of the sax part of the jam, as is the law in these scenarios, the baton is passed and it must be passed. So up next to the plate is your man skulking behind with his electric guitar, Warren something.
Warren Haynes.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not going to remember that last bit. It's still Warren something to me. And again, he comes in and does a lovely extended sort of riff on a theme. A lot of sort of bluesy type scales were going up and down and doing it with a huge aplomb. Probably the thing I like most about this, well, it's very accomplished on the guitar, but I like at parts, not all the time, but at parts there was real synergy between him and the drummer, and they were feeding off each other. Yeah. There was much sort of metal work being bashed, which is always nice to see. And then we sort of crash back down, and Dave introduced all his good friends one by one, before going into scat mode. Now, I did say on the reaction that scat can mean two things.
But it means the same, I'm assuming, to you.
Now, I really can't remember the last time I heard something like this. I reckon my brain's and on instinct. I said probably on the Far Side's their debut album, they did a bit of this, and that's like what 93. I'm undecided on how I feel about this outburst, but it wasn't thumbs aloft straight away. I'll tell you that. But which is more important, Dave's target audience, which is the audience in front of him, lapped it up. So, hats off. That's all that matters. Not the opinion of some jaded, limey sitting over here. We then enter, it's just really fucking bizarre. But anyway, we then enter this.
You're not wrong. I thought you were also going to bring up the gurning, because there's a lot of that on display between Warren on guitar at times, and then even more explicitly Dave during his scat routine.
Well, in his scat routine, he turns into Quasimodo or something. All he needs is a fucking bell tower, and he's away. Anyway, I'm going to leave that alone. We then enter this other bit, this next bit, which I really, really liked for some reason. But they also calmed down and went into sort of panther-like stealth mode, and it was also creeping through the undergrowth. And it had a really nice sound to it. And then it all set him up to introduce a bit of Buffalo Springfield for a little bit of crowd work. It went down well for what it's worth. So then we get some thank yous interspersed with the lyrics, and then done. So yeah, I would say in terms of the main song, the Jimi thing or whatever, it's not my favorite of the ones we've listened to.
Mm-hmm.
I really liked this sax break. I very much liked the guitar break as well. The other stuff wasn't quite so within it, but as a performance, again, it was exceptional. And as memory serves is correct, and I'm probably wrong, but I don't say this in the reaction, but I think you said that this gig in Central Park came pretty soon after 9/11 or something.
It was almost 2 years to the date in New York.
And it had this sort of sense of coming together and a bit of healing and all that sort of stuff. Yeah. And you could tell that that's why he's spanking the cops and the fire in the emergency services, and you get that. Exactly. So again, the whole sense of the occasion of it as well wrapped up as well. So yeah, not massive. I'm sorry to say, troublemaker. I don't want these shadowy figures surrounding me, but not my favorite of his stuff. But I think if you're a massive fan of them, this would be a massive tick, and I think it was done really well as well.
Yeah. Of course, I would. It's not one of my favorites by Dave. I mean, I like the song, but it's not one of my favorites by him by any stretch. But it's a pretty damn good performance of it with all this added musical chicanery going on, that makes it kind of undeniably fun to watch, at least throughout most of it. You know what I mean? So, I totally understand what you're saying, though. And I think probably Troublemaker would too. I don't want to speak on behalf of them, but yeah, I'm glad that you gave this a go and you enjoyed watching it. It really is an incredible live concert, and the attendance is, like, I think I talked about that a lot with you too on the All Along the Watchtower episode, that it wasn't record breaking, but it flirted with the possibility of breaking records as far as attendance for a given night concert. I think it's around or just over 100,000 people in Central Park to see that. And towards the very end, I think you get an aerial shot where you see how it just looks like 12 baseball or football fields set next to each other, like in a line. And you just see this vast, sea of humanity out there. It's pretty incredible to look at. It almost gives you anxiety. But that's also really incredible to see too, in a post 9/11 New York City, that many people coming together to enjoy something on an evening. So yeah, glad you enjoyed it. Even though, I would have drawn some lines where you did as well, or at least raised an eyebrow. So as stated, we covered Dave plenty of times on the channel, and even this concert with the All Along the Watchtower episode. So if you want more information about them, that digs really deep, please go back and check out any of our other stuff. We've got a playlist for Dave Matthews. It'll be down in the description field below. This track, Jimi Thing, features on the band's debut album, 1994's Under the Table and Dreaming, which I believe Warehouse also features on. Um, it's the album's first single was "What Would You Say," featuring John Popper of Blues Traveler on harmonica. So you've heard he's a bit of a harmonica virtuoso. Um, and four other singles from the album included "Jimi Thing," "Typical Situation," "Ants Marching," and "Satellite." By March 16th of 2000, the album had sold over 6 million copies and was certified 6 times platinum by the RIAA. The acoustic guitar tracks on the album were played by Dave Matthews and Tim Reynolds. During the recording sessions, Matthews and Reynolds would sit face to face with a piece of glass between them playing the same guitar part. And this was done twice for each song to yield a total of 4 acoustic guitar tracks, 2 apiece from Matthews and Reynolds. And producer, he's been featured on this channel plenty of times in discussion, Steve Lillywhite, frequently turned the volume down on Matthews' part and turned the volume up on Reynolds, resulting in Reynolds' guitar playing being more prominent on the final album. Reynolds then overdubbed additional acoustic and electric guitar parts. The track "Granny" was recorded for this release, and Matthews wanted it to be the band's first single, but the song never made it to any of the studio albums. Studio version of this track is included on the 2014 reissue of the album. Under the Table and Dreaming was dedicated to Matthews' older sister Anne, who I believe I had mentioned this in a previous episode, was really sadly, she was killed by her husband in 1994 in a murder-suicide. Included in the jewel case packet is a picture of Dave with one of Anne's children. The band's lineup at this time includes Carter Buford, who is just, wow, drums, percussion, vocalist, virtuoso. He's really amazing, and he plays that fucking open hand style, which is just always impresses me. Stefan Lassard on bass guitar, Dave Matthews on vocals, acoustic guitar, and he was also the design assistant on this album. Leroy Moore, alto, soprano, and tenor saxophones, or Bleeding Gums for short, and may he rest in peace. We lost him some years ago in an ATV accident. And Boyd Tinsley on acoustic violin and electric violin and vocals. The album also features the aforementioned Tim Reynolds on acoustic guitar and John Popper is mentioned on harmonica, as well as John Alagia, Michael McDonald, yes, that Michael McDonald, Andrew Page, and Jeff Thomas, who all featured by adding additional vocals on Dancing Nancy's and What Would You Say, and Steve Foreman, who added additional percussions on Typical Situation. This live version also features former keyboardist Butch Taylor and, as we mentioned, Warren Haynes of the Allman Brothers and Government Mule fame. The album spent 3 years on the U.S. Billboard 200, peaking at number 11 in 1994, number 25 in 1995, and number 54 in 1996. It's a pretty good run for an album. The Encyclopedia of Popular Music scored the album 4 out of 5 stars, while AllMusic scored it 4.5 out of 5 stars, and the Philadelphia Inquirer gave it an odd 4 out of 4 stars. Stereo Review noted that Matthews is a lucid dreamer and an idealist whose folk jazz forays call to mind Bruce Cockburn, another square peg who wins fans with a combination of artistry and perseverance. Hometown newspaper here, the Baltimore Sun, determined that the band has a great sense of groove, evincing all the rhythmic discipline of a jazz band without ever losing its sense of the song. This track, Jimi Thing, is the 9th track on the album and was released as a single in 1995. In March of '99, Dave Matthews and Tim Reynolds played a New York synagogue for an episode of MTV's Storytellers, during which Matthews mused about the song's title, saying, "It was a temporary song title that stuck. It was kind of reminiscent of the early days of Jimi Hendrix, and we didn't have any other names for any of the songs, so we just called it Jimi Thing. And now let's get into these lyrics. These are a little different. I know he substituted Jimmy for Mommy in the live version, so bear with me because I'm not going to sing the Buffalo. I'm not going to recite the Buffalo Springfield song. Uh, but lately I've been feeling low. A remedy is what I'm seeking. I take a taste of what's below, come away to something better. What I want is what I've not got, and what I need is all around me. Reaching, searching, never stop, and I'll say, if you could keep me floating just for a while, till I get to the end of this tunnel, Mommy, if you could keep me floating just for a while, I'll get back to you. Sometimes a Jimmy thing slides my way and keeps me swinging. I'd like to show you what's inside, and I shouldn't care if you do or don't like it. Brother Chaos rule all about. Sometimes I walk there, well, good God knows, or pardon me, well, yes, God knows sometimes I take a bus there. Shouldn't care, bereaved as I'm feeling. The day is gone. I'm on my back, staring up at the ceiling. Take a drink, sit back, relax. Smoke my mind, makes me feel better for a small time. What I want is what I've not got, and what I need is all around me. Reaching, searching, never stop. And I'll say, if you could keep me floating just for a while till I get to the end of this tunnel, Mommy, if you could keep me floating just for a while, I'll get back to you. Sometimes take a Jimmy thing, slide my way, and keeps me swinging. I'd like to show you what's inside, and I shouldn't care if you don't like it. Brother Chaos rules all about. Sometimes I walk there, well, yes, God knows, sometimes I take a bus there. Uh, shouldn't care, uh, shouldn't care, bereaved as I'm feeling. Lately I've been feeling low. A remedy is what I'm looking for, cooking for. So I take a taste of what's below, come away. If you could keep me floating just for a while, till I get to the end of this tunnel called Jimmy, if you could keep me floating just for a while, I'll get back to you. Sometime take a Jimmy thing slide my way and keeps me swinging. I'd like to show you what's inside, and I shouldn't care if you do or don't like it. Brother Chaos rule all about. Sometimes I walk there. Well, yes, God knows, sometimes I take a bus there. Shouldn't care, bereaved as I'm feeling. So, odd set of lyrics. I know there's not a lot to discern there other than he's probably stoked. But back in 2014, Kenneth Partridge of Billboard wrote an article celebrating the 20-year anniversary of the album and revisited each of its tracks and wrote this of Jimmy Thing. The song's title could refer to a joint, a condom, a Jimi Hendrix song, anything that mellows you out. It doesn't get much more laid back than the verses wherein Dave strums a happy cloud chord progression and talks about getting stoned and gazing up at the ceiling. If you can keep me floating just for a while, he sings at the chorus, implying that the good times can't last forever. Moore, meaning Leroy Moore, hints at the same idea with the moody sax in the final minute. So, there you go. It is a much shorter version on the album than it is in this live version that you got treated to today. So, go ahead.
I think when you reading out the lyrics as well, it seemed like there were more lyrics in the album version.
Yeah.
Doesn't seem to be as much as that in this. It was more jamming in between.
Yeah. There was. They obviously take their liberties when they play live. I mean,
Yeah, of course.
I would suggest that you would have, whether you like them or you don't, I think you would have a better experience absorbing one of their albums in a live setting than you would by popping an album, into whatever
I think
player
that's pretty
choice.
obvious.
Yeah. And you could probably say the same for some of the artists that they collaborate with. Like Warren Haynes is a fabulous guitar player. I mean, he's sick, but there's something about seeing and hearing that happen live, whether it's Government Mule concert or an Allman Brothers concert, and just getting the whole aura and aesthetic in real time, I think is better than popping on an album. Go on, Jeff.
It's really interesting because actually I didn't say this in reaction, but while I was listening to him soloing, I was trying to pitch where his style was. Do you know what I mean?
Mhm.
And Allman Brothers didn't occur to me, but of course it makes sense. But I was thinking it's less, what's the right word? It's less frenetic or jagged like sort of Rory Gallagher. Um, but it's sort of it's more. It sounded more sort of progressive than somebody else soloing. So it was in between that, and I was trying to put the marker of where it would be.
Mhm.
Of course, if I thought of the Allman Brothers, that makes total sense now. This sound, as it were,
Yeah.
style.
And
I mean,
I know you're not.
totally in the blues, totally in the blues. But
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely, right? That's Southern rock is really rooted in blues sound. I know that you're not super familiar with Allman Brothers anyway, right? I'm
no,
not
just
wrong.
the live album, Fillmore. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. So I might be inclined to introduce some Government Mule to you, or even some Allman Brothers outside of what you know in a future episode, just to give you more of a
yeah.
glimpse into his style.
I know the name of Government Mule, but I don't know if I've heard anything.
Yeah. Oh, well, all the more reason. I'll make a little note to myself.
Why
So,
not?
yeah, yeah, they're really talented. Warren's a great musician. So, but so are all the members of Dave Matthews Band. So, thanks to Troublemaker for offering this up. John, thank you for going off and being patient, giving this 16-minute epic a listen or whatever it was. So, yeah, thank you so much for giving this a go. Again, Troublemaker, appreciate you guys out there in the listening audience. If you want us to check out any song by any artist that at least one of us is not familiar with, feel free to shout it down in the comments field below. We will add it to the list if it meets that criteria. And we will add it at some point on a future Friday episode. Just be patient with us, and we will get to it eventually. And then please like, share, and or subscribe if you haven't done any or all of those things. It goes a long way to help us here at the channel and only costs you a couple clicks. So please give that your consideration. And hopefully John and I will catch all y'all in growing numbers on the next installment of the Audiophiles. We'll see you later, guys.